show you. This is just to, sorry. This is to remind you, which is a colonial tile. So you have the reference to where really the tiles are normally in the colonial epoch are put, and so you see it's exactly the main pattern that they are inscribed. And here again that you see. So these are the paintings. You see Michelangelo, the Sistine Chapel, but you see it's not a real copy just.
It's the ceiling?
It's the ceiling. This is the ceiling. You see there above.
I think you can actually get one.
Yeah. This is the ceiling. I put another one. So you see the Sobaran. So it's not a copy of the Sistine Chapel. It is really to integrate what is considered as the canon of European
encyclopedia.
Exactly. It's an art history. It's a visual art history. So, and here you have another. I just want to show you. We have to go to the details, but then I don't have enough time. So here's a different aspect there. There's exactly the crucifixion of Caravaggio. So you have a lot of these.
Artists rolling in their graves.
I just want to put one thing, what is important, that you see it is a ceiling painting within a frame. And this is very important because it's the Portuguese tradition, it's the Brazilian colonial tradition. So it's not just a copy of the Sistine Chapel, because it's inscribed, this is from Jean Pessoa, this is from the Franciscan church there. So this is the typical...
The model.
The model. So it's inscribed a European tradition of painting within a Portuguese-Brazilian framework. So the decoration reflects also on the specificity of the Brazilian Baroque and its relation with and between nature and religion. Not only can we find in the Valorian tiles with butterflies and birds, which are typical for a Brazilian flora and fauna, which is here, and here another one, but the painter Vieira reintegrated a Catholic modernism, which is neo-Baroque, as an answer to Andrade and Sayre's concept of mestiçagem. This was never executed, and I found it really just last week. He has made a plan for another paintings, which you can't find, for Madonnas, which are referred to fruits. So you have here the Virgin de Cachoeira, the Virgin of the Orchidea, of the orchid. Sorry. The Madonna of the Madonna of the
passion fruit. That's mine.
The Madonna of the passion fruit. The Madonna of the colibri, but you also have the Madonna, the indigenous Madonna, and you have the Madonna of the Sertão, which is a reference to the main
to a region,
very symbolic, a very symbolic region for the modernists, for Portinari, and for others. So there's a lot of things to talk about, but I just want to show you. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also. This can also be found in his never executed plans of the Madonna cycle and the ceiling painting, which should represent Anchieta's dreams related to the legend of the cult image. So this is a book where it was, this is Anchieta and his dream of the Madonna. And this, here's a photo which I found in the archive, how was the ceiling in the 60s until the 80s. Wow. So it was no painting. So this was the situation before the Sistine Chapel paintings. What does these new Baroque visual art histories, I'll just leave you with that. What does these new Baroque visual art histories of the Baroque means for our discussion? In my view, the term Baroque can be seen in this context from both a historiographical and a theoretical or conceptual perspective. This leads also to the question whether there are different culturally defined Baroques and different or conflicting or even contradictory inscription in local discourses. This includes a distinct meaning of the term itself and its cultural meanings and categories. The discourse of the Baroque in the Latin American and especially Brazilian context reflects these shifting and flickering Baroques. The Baroque seems to be interwoven not only disciplinary and geographically cultured, but also generational and disciplinary. So in the case of Brazil, these results point to the connection of Baroque and the Neo-Baroque to other terms that are similarly amorphous, like modernity or national art. Just as one example, it is worthwhile mentioning the debate between Antonio Cândido, João Adolfo Hansen, and Haroldo de Campos concerning the Baroque as a term and the quality in Brazilian literature and its role in the formation of a national literature. Perhaps I skip this because this is also another discussion, but we can talk about it later. This identity formation is also linked to these above-mentioned different discourses or paradoxes about the Baroque and its relation to the Neo-Baroque, and therefore the so-called identity formation is inscribed into a discourse that is concurrently historicist and theoretical. There are different levels of the Neo-Baroque appropriation of the historical Baroque we can find condensed in the Church Nossa Senhora do Brasil. The construction of a visual space is concerned with the interior images via the mise-en-scène of the exterior images. In the case of Nossa Senhora do Brasil, it is less the illusionistic construction of space, but rather the differentiation of visual offers, as in Jan van Kessel's famous painting of a gallery as a Wunderkammer in the allegory of America, which you can see here from 1664. This relates also to the showrooms. This relates also to the commercial showrooms you can find nearby the church. The Kessel painting can be understood as an overlying meter structure. This meter structure, and here I put it together, this meter structure especially favors the idea of a Neo-Baroque spectacle, which itself is again related with the immanent notion of internal and external images mentioned above. So you can find exactly, you have the nature represented, you have the sculptures, you have the paintings, and so on. There are different phases of the Neo-Baroque use and reuse. The first one along with the modernist ideas, the second one as a religious aesthetic foundation of Neo-Baroque theology, and the third one that Walter Moser has considered the Baroque form of using the Neo-Baroque aesthetic. The church can be seen as a visual construction of a Neo-Baroque aesthetic. But the Neo-Baroque of the church inscribes itself in the conservative tone of a hierarchical appropriation of the Baroque, which included its function for mass culture and a parallel appropriation of its subversive character. The architecture and the decoration of the Church Nossa Senhora do Brasil present different art histories, aesthetic, religious, and political. It narrates and presents visually, in a Neo-Baroque manner, the art history of the Baroque. It renegotiates the national and modernist impacts and include it to the Baroque discourse as a relation between Europe and Latin America. Therefore, we can speak of a return to and a return of the Baroque. Latin American art since colonial times, the Baroque and the Neo-Baroque can be considered to be almost, in quotation marks, second Neo-Baroque foundation of Western art. It is a version of Western art that follows its own internal rules and patterns. Therefore, it seems complicated to put it in relation to European and Northern American art, or to define it as the native or as post-colonial art opposed to European Western art. This other Neo-Baroque art history does not fit into established patterns. Its otherness is not externalized like the African or Asian. Its otherness is intrinsic and therefore contains a contradiction in itself. The project of national art since the 19th century can be understood as a reflection of the European model. It was based on the idea of colonial art, in which the concept of the Baroque functioned as a catalyst in the reformulation of the model. In a different way from Europe, where art created roots and traditions, this ideal was transformed in the Americas, in Brazil, in the hands of artists who were more ambitious to know how to create than to copy.